This is a sample while loop I keep in my library so that every time I want to use a while loop I don't have to go and recreate it or go look it up how it works or what have you. I've got an example sitting out there. I can cut and paste, copy and paste, and change it to what I need. So let's go through the code. This is a while loop. We've got two different examples on how to do tests. Okay, so the first one we're going to start out with x equals 0, and we're going to say, well, x is less than 10. Print x, and then we're going to increment, and then it will come back up here, and it will keep repeating this until x is no longer less than 10. And when x is no longer less than 10, it will jump over all this code, go down here to print the dividing line. So the first time through, x is going to be 0, 0 is less than 10, it's going to print 0, and then it's going to increment, so then it's going to come back up here, do the test, well, and it's going to be 1 now. 1 is less than 10. Then it's going to print 1, it's going to come down here 2, 2 is less than 10, and it's going to keep doing this until it reaches 9. Okay? Well, on the ninth case, it's going to print 9, it's going to come down here and say x plus 1, now we're at 10. 10 is not less than 10, 10 is equal to 10. So it's going to jump over the code. So the last thing we're going to see printed is a 9. Okay, then we come down here, print the divider line, and then we go into our next example. A very common way of using while is something I've read many times not to do, set up an infinite loop and then break out of it. But in Python it seems that that's a common thing to do, so same type of thing, x is equal to 0, and then we're going to say, well, true. So normally this would loop forever until we jump out of the loop, and so we're going to have to break out of the loop. Okay, then we're going to print x. So the first time we see x is going to be 0, and then it's going to increment by 1. So at this point, x is now 1. If 1 is greater than 10, break. No, it's not. So it will come back up here. It will re-execute. X is now 1. Here it becomes 2. 2 is greater than 10, break. No, and it's going to keep doing this until it reaches 11. So when 11 is greater than 10. So the last thing we're going to see is we're going to see this is 10. It's going to be incremented by 1. This will be 11. At 11 it will break. But the last number we see printed is 10. And the reason I have this example like this is to remind myself that it's very important where you do the increment, where you do the output, and where you do the test. Because if you do them in a different order, you'll get a different output. Okay, so let's run this and make sure it does what we say it will do. Run module, boom. Okay, there it is, 0 through 9, as we said before, and this one does 0 through 10. Okay, so a little different example, but again, it's to remind myself that you have to be careful where you do the test and do the increment and do the output. Well, that's it for while statements. They're simple and yet very useful. And I hope you found it useful and interesting in your Python programming.